Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another review of The Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 5, Episode 3, Sip and See You Later. So this episode starts off where the other episode ended, which was at the dinner that everybody had thrown for Ashley. It was the dinner for her to try to get her out of the house, get, back into the groove of things as far as being more social, hanging out with friends, because she's been cooped up in her house ever since she had her baby, which could be a touch of maybe postpartum depression. So at that dinner, everybody was trying to get Candace to apologize to Ashley for the horrible, mean, nasty tweets that Ashley had put out there on the day that Candace had put out there on the day that Ashley was giving birth. And they showed some of the tweets and they were bad. They were really bad. She referred to Ashley as a wench, a roach, something else. She referred to Ashley's husband, Michael, as her overseer, making these horrible, slave references. It was awful, just awful. So Candace keeps telling everybody that she'll talk to Ashley. They'll have a conversation at another time in private, away from the entire group. They keep badgering her, which I felt like was wrong. She's the one that's involved in the situation with Ashley. She doesn't want to talk about it now. It's no one else's right or place to make her apologize, because how sincere would the apology be if she's being badgered to death to apologize? The fact that she's willing to talk to Ashley in private, which most likely will lead to an apology, I think was saying a lot about Candace. And I'm not her biggest fan by any means, but the fact that she was still willing to talk to Ashley one-on-one kept the door open for her to do what she needed to do, which is to apologize. But they kept on going. The girls kept on going. And then Robin steps in, and Robin was trying to bring up the whole situation of where Candace threw the knife, because Candace was saying, why are y'all pressuring me to apologize to her? We both did things to each other. And they weren't trying to hear that at all. And then Robin comes in and says, well, remember the time that you had thrown the knife at her? Well, Candace was like, Robin, shut the F up. Robin was like, excuse me, what did you say? And Candace was like, you heard me. I said, shut the F up. And it was just a free-for-all. So then Giselle brings in about, Giselle is really, okay, even though it was Giselle and Monique that had planned this dinner for Ashley, and Monique had said something about maybe her and Giselle were turning a new page, they were putting the past behind them, and maybe they could be friends. No. And the reason why I'm saying no is because if Giselle was really trying to be friends with Monique, she would not constantly bring up Charisse. Charisse is a very sore subject for Monique. It's bad enough that Candace went out of her way to befriend Charisse when Candace and Monique were falling out. Now here you have Giselle always bringing up Charisse's name constantly. So while everyone is going on and on about Candace, need to apologize to Ashley, here comes Giselle. Well, Candace, how well do you really know Charisse? And I'm like, where is that coming from? And then Candace is like, how she was like, well, yeah, I know her pretty. I don't know what she said. I don't remember what her answer was. But the point is that Giselle brings up Charisse, which I guess with Monique, it was okay, because I guess Monique at that point has, obviously she has a lot of anger towards Candace for bringing Charisse to the 1-year anniversary that she had thrown. So at this point, maybe Monique is still thinking that, Giselle is still in her corner, but I don't really think so. I think Giselle wants to bring up Charisse so they can talk about the trainer, so that they can embarrass Monique even more. That's what I think. But anyways, I digress. So Karen steps in. We're still at the dinner. Karen steps in and she's trying to diffuse the situation by saying, you know what, let them talk at their own time. This is not the place for all of this. Let's just let them talk whenever they want to talk. Let's not go on and on and on about this here. So I guess that kind of calms everybody down. But then when everything is over, the cameras are shut off. And everything is over. The dinner is over. Everyone starts leaving. Now we're thinking that, okay, the scene is over. But the cameras had turned off, but the audio did not. And you can hear the conversation going on between Candace and Monique, where it seemed like Monique was trying to like be kind of, I could be wrong, y'all, because I really wasn't paying attention to this part. But I think Monique was trying to be kind of like chummy, like, girl, you know, I don't know what she said to Monique. I don't know what she said to Candace. But Candace came back, me and you are not friends. And she was basically like, you know, get away from me. It was sounded like as if Monique was trying to kind of be chummy, and then Candace wasn't having it. Now, this is probably to bring up the point that Candace was trying to make, that Monique is two-faced. Because Candace did say that when the cameras are on, Monique is one way. When the cameras are off, Monique is another way. And I think she's referring to when she's one-on-one with Monique without the cameras, Monique is nice. They're friendly. But when the cameras are turned on, Monique is not so nice and friendly with her. And she's throwing daggers at her. Okay, let's move on from that scene. So, now we're at the baby store with Ashley and Michael and with little baby Dean. And Ashley's telling Michael that she's going to have a sip and see, and she's going to be the bigger person, and she's going to invite Candace. And, you know, Michael is like, oh my God, are you saying Candace is going to be in our home? And, you know, Ashley was like, yeah, that's what's going to happen. And then, of course, they talk about some intimacy issues, how they haven't been able to be intimate with each other because of some physical pain that Ashley's going through. I don't know why that was even brought up, but yeah, Ashley's is in pain, so she can't be intimate with her husband. Now we're moving on to Giselle and Robin. So Giselle and Robin are at, I think it was Giselle's house. You know, there's a whole bunch of construction and renovation going on outside, and they're sitting down to talk, and Giselle says that Jamal, her ex-husband, who she's reconciling with, is coming into town, and Robin asked her, well, is he going to be staying with you? And Giselle said no. And Robin was like, why not? That's the father of your children. I'm like, what does the father of her kids have to do with him staying with her? I don't understand why people say things like that. Oh, well, that's the father of your kid. I didn't get it. So she was like, well, that's the father of your kids. Why wouldn't he stay with you? And Giselle said that, you know, her girls are really not comfortable with them reconciling. You know, they're still struggling with that. It's still an issue for the girls. And Robin was like, what? All three of them? And Giselle said, yeah, all three of them are not really happy about this. And the truth of the matter is because of the fact that they're very protective of their mom. And I know that they know they're at that age where they can Google, and, you know, they probably had heard all kinds of rumors about their dad and how hurt their mother was. Maybe the mom told them herself, you know, what they went through in their marriage. And so the girls just don't want to see their mom taken advantage of again and being hurt again by their dad. So they're not that, you know, they're not the biggest fan of this reconciliation. So Jamal is coming into town. I don't know if he came into town specifically for Giselle's birthday, but it's Giselle's birthday, and they plan on having a dinner on a boat, on a yacht. And so it's Giselle and Jamal and the three girls are having dinner, really nice dinner on the boat. And Jamal brings up a funny story. He says that he went to go see, I think it was the oldest daughter, he went to go see her at school. And he said that when he showed up, she comes running towards him. And he said that everybody thought that she was running towards her dad to give him a great big hug. But instead, she was like telling her dad to leave. She wanted her dad to get out. And I'm wondering if the girls are embarrassed by their dad's past shenanigans. And, you know, their dad is like an embarrassment for them because everybody knows what their dad was doing to their mom, you know, all the affairs, the cheating, the infidelity. I wonder if that was what it was. But anyway, so then he says that he has a surprise for the girls, and the surprise is he made them joint owners of some restaurant in Atlanta. Okay, that's wonderful, I guess. So the girls are going to be seeing some money from that, hopefully. But, you know, restaurants in Atlanta, restaurants in really big cities, you know, they don't have a lot of longevity. I'm surprised that the old lady gang is still operating, especially with the whole situation with the pandemic. And I don't know how that restaurant did that Jamal, you know, made his girls owners of. I don't know how that restaurant did with the pandemic. That'll be interesting to know. So the girls are really happy about that. But the dinner was very awkward. It was a lot of silence. It was a lot of tension because the girls are just not feeling this reconciliation. And Giselle is trying, and, poor Jamal is trying, but, they're not really feeling it. So, we'll see how that turns out. So then we are at Wendy's home. Wendy's the newest cast of the Real Housewives of Potomac, and we're getting to know a little bit more about her and her family and her background. She has a really beautiful home, a really beautiful family. She has 2 boys, 4 and 6, and then she has a baby girl, a newborn baby girl. Her husband's an attorney. She was talking about all of her degrees. I completely lost count. I don't know how. She had like 4 masters or something in addition to her bachelor's. She has like an additional 3 or 4 masters, and it's all related to like public service, government work, I think. And she's also a commentator on CNN, and she's also a professor at Johns Hopkins. She's a very accomplished woman. And in this particular scene, her mother comes over to teach the children Igbo. The children were born here. I think her husband was born here as well. Wendy herself, I think, was born in Nigeria. And so she really wants her children to learn Igbo, to have that connection with their culture. And so that was a cute little scene, the grandmother teaching the kids Igbo, and we get to see a little baby girl, and, her husband's a really nice looking man. Like I said before, he's an attorney. So it looks like she has a really nice little household there. So here we are with Candace and Chris. They're at the store, at the clothing store, department store, whatever, and they're buying something for one of Chris's kids. Chris has 3 children by 2 previous relationships, and I think it's the child's birthday, so they're finding an outfit for her, or they're buying her something. And while they were there, they decided to get something for baby Dean because Candace was invited to the sip-and scene. So Chris said it was a really good thing for her to go and for her to buy the gift. So I'm glad that Chris is supporting it, because there was a lot of acrimony between Chris and Candace and Michael and Ashley, because even the men were like going at it last year, especially at the reunion. Then we have a scene with Karen and Monique. So Karen comes over to see Monique, and this was a really short, insignificant scene. It was basically Monique reiterating again how upset she was with Candace inviting Charisse to the 1-year anniversary party. Okay, so here we are, the coup de grace, the sip-and-see. So at the sip-and-see, it's being held at Ashley's home. Everyone begins to arrive, and everyone is arriving. Monique comes, Giselle, Karen, and Robin. They're all showing up, and everything is fine. Now, they're having a conversation where they're talking about, Monique is talking about Candace. And she was telling the girls, they're all sitting together, she was telling the girls that she really doesn't see Candace as a real friend, as a true friend, because I guess of her going off to be friends with her arch enemy, Charisse. And then she said something that I thought was kind of strange. Not strange, but interesting. She said, maybe if Candace was iced out, she would see that the problem is with her and not with anybody else, because she has no accountability. She doesn't take any kind of accountability for the actions that she's done to hurt others. And I haven't heard that term iced out since the Real Housewives of New York, when it seemed like they were all trying to ice out Alex McCord, I think her name was. Alex McCord, I think. That was like, wow. Okay, so anyway, so she mentioned that, if we all iced her out, maybe she'll see that she's the problem and it's no one else being the problem. Then we have a little segue, or a little breakaway point about Karen, because Wendy comes, and Karen and Wendy greet each other, and it's a very, I guess, cold greeting by Karen. They know each other, because Wendy keeps saying how she knows Karen. She's known her for a couple of years. They've been sitting on the same board for whatever charity or organization. But whenever they see each other, Karen kind of treats her like she really doesn't know her. She gives her really like a cold greeting, like she's a stranger or something. And I'm really curious to know. And then in her confessional, Karen says something about how she does know Wendy. They sat on the same board together, blah, blah, blah. They have this past relationship. She goes, but I'm not impressed. And I'm like, what? I'm a little bit more interested in Karen and Wendy now than I am with Monique and Candace, because I really want to know what is the tea behind Wendy and Karen. Because these are very, distinguished, accomplished, intelligent women. What possible problem could they have with each other? I'm really interested in knowing that, and I hope we find out this season. Okay, so back to the sip and see. So I was shocked that Charisse arrived, because we know how Monique reacted when Candace invited Charisse to her 1-year anniversary party and didn't tell Monique that Charisse was coming. And so when I saw Charisse walking in, I thought she was walking in probably as Candace's +1. And I was like, girl, you are really trying to piss off Monique. But she came on her own. And I was like, wow, so how is Monique going to react to Charisse showing up to the sip and see, knowing that Ashley invited her? But it was all explained. Monique said that it was okay for Ashley to invite Charisse because Ashley and Charisse have history. They actually have had a real friendship. They have a history together way before Monique showed up. So she felt like, I can't be mad at her for inviting her because they're friends and they have a history. Whereas Candace, they were not friends before me, and Candace sought out Charisse just to piss off Monique. So I was like, okay, I understand why Monique did not throw daggers at Ashley for that. Okay, so then we have Candace. So Candace arrives and she gives the gift to Ashley, and she tells Ashley, yeah, I understand you didn't want gifts, but I really had to get this for you. And I wonder if Candace feels really small because Ashley still invited her to the sip and see, but Candace didn't invite her to the 1-year anniversary. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm wondering if Ashley invited her like it was all planned to sort of ambush Candace again. I wonder if Ashley invited her Ashley inviting Candace to her sip and see was coming from a good place, or were the girls plotting and this is the reason why they I don't know, but I'm going to give Ashley the benefit of the doubt that she invited Candace to the sip and see because she is really trying to reach out to her and try to put the past behind them, and she's trying to, be friends again or be friendly again, and not leave her out of this event where everybody else was invited to. So when Charisse shows up, it was tense. It was pretty tense. So Ashley starts off by saying to Candace, Candace, I really want you to know what's been going on. I don't want you to feel like this is an ambush or anything like that. I'm not sure if she said that, but she said, I really want you to know what's going on. So before you arrived, we were talking about the dinner party and how you probably did feel pretty ambushed about it. But we were all talking, before you came, that you really don't show any kind of accountability for your actions. And Candace agreed that it was an ambush, and she was saying that it still was not the place for her and Ashley to discuss that. And she kept on reiterating how, that wasn't the place for me and you to resolve our issues. And then Monique basically was saying, well, that's the problem with you, Candace. You want things on your terms. You want things done your way, and things can't always be your way. Sometimes you just kind of have to accept things the way they are. And I was like, okay, I know Monique is angry, really angry at Candace, but I still say that if she didn't feel comfortable talking about it at the dinner table in front of, 20 other women, she didn't want to talk about it in front of everybody else. She did say that me and Ashley will talk about our issues, but I don't want to talk about it in front of everybody for whatever reason, whether her reason is legit or not legit, to not want to discuss it at that particular time in that particular setting. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what her reasoning is. She didn't feel comfortable. They should have just left it alone and called her out if she never makes that arrangement to meet with Ashley. Then y'all can call her out on it. But you haven't even given her a chance to mess up. So I don't know, for Monique to say, well, you always want things on your term and you should have just done, no, I didn't agree with Monique. I like Monique more than I like Candace, but I don't agree with her thinking that, it was okay for them to force her to apologize to Ashley at the dinner table. Okay, so Monique says, so I don't know why Candace saw Monique's statement as being, oh, no. Monique says to Candace, she says that, something about how she was coming off really aggressive and hostile at the dinner party. And Candace said, well, that's funny coming from an aggressive and hostile person. And that's when Wendy steps in and intervenes and says that maybe she just wasn't comfortable among people who really weren't supportive of her. It seemed like nobody was really supporting her at the dinner. And so Wendy was like, well, maybe she just didn't feel comfortable because she doesn't feel any kind of support from y'all. And then Wendy, says that, I'm her friend. I'm pretty loyal to her. And Monique steps in and tells Wendy, well, girl, tread lightly, because look what happened to me. And I was once her friend, and I was once loyal to her. And so then Candace calls Monique a flip-flopper. And Candace says that, and then Monique denies it. She goes, no, I'm not the flip-flopper. You're the flip-flopper. And then Candace says, well, maybe the reason why you're acting like this right now is because you and Giselle are, all buddy-buddy. And then it all hell breaks loose. And then, Monique and Giselle, they're like, oh, okay. So this year it's Giselle. It's not Ashley anymore. You can't use Ashley as an excuse anymore because Ashley and Monique were really tight last year. So this year you're going to blame it all on, me being friends with Giselle. So once again, Ashley leaves. She gets up and she's out of there. And when she's gone, Giselle, once again, wants to bring up the Monique and Charisse issue. Instead of talking about Candace and Ashley, because that was really, the whole dinner was really about Candace and Ashley. And Ashley started the whole sip and see by saying, at the dinner, blah, blah, blah. You probably felt ambushed. Everybody forcing you to apologize. But as soon as Candace is gone, Charisse is like, ooh, now we can talk about Monique and her cheating ways. So she brings up Charisse and Monique's issue. Giselle says, okay, let's talk about, what is going on between the two of y'all. She says Charisse came and y'all didn't even say hi to each other. And y'all used to be friends, which I didn't know until this episode, that Charisse and Monique were really good friends at one point. So Giselle mentioned that they were like big sister, little sister. They hung out all the time. Evidently, they traveled together a lot because they were showing pictures of them holding up their passport. So they traveled out of the country. Now, when you travel out of the country with somebody, y'all are really good friends because you can't be doing that with just anybody. You'll end up killing somebody. So Giselle was like, so you came in, Charisse, and you didn't even greet your friend. So what is going on between the two of you? And Charisse is like, girl, I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. And then Monique ain't having it. So Monique leaves. The only thing is, ain't nobody chasing Monique. Ashley had already left at this point because she was already chasing Candace, trying to figure out why Candace had left and why she wasn't coming back. So at this point, Ashley was gone. So Giselle brings up the Charisse and Monique issue. Monique leaves. Ain't nobody chasing Monique. And that was basically the end of the sip and see scene. So there's a scene with Ashley and Candace are talking outside because Ashley went all the way outside trying to chase Candace down. And they sit down at a bench and they're talking. And Candace apologizes for leaving, and she's really hurt by Monique, and she doesn't understand people were forcing her to apologize, and Candace tells Ashley that people were forcing me to apologize to you, but we did things to each other, but they're only calling me out. And then Ashley was like, well, let's talk about it. Once again, Candace is like, well, no, you have your sip and see. I don't want to talk about it here. We'll talk about it later. And it was nice to see Candace and Ashley civil to each other. Okay, so let me talk about what I think is really going on. I think that, and that was basically the end of the episode. Except for Giselle in her confessional saying some really inappropriate things. Using inappropriate terms when she was talking about Monique and her trainer and this alleged affair. So Giselle said that Charisse was going around town telling people that Monique was having an affair with her trainer, and her husband found out about the rumors. Her husband got really upset about it, and Giselle went a step further and said that the rumor is, I don't know if this is the rumor or this is what Giselle herself is trying to perpetuate out there, but she says, well, the rumor is that her third child is not even it's not even Chris's baby. That baby is Chris's baby, because that baby looks just like Chris. That baby don't look nothing like Monique. That baby looks just like Chris. But Giselle, being messy, she was like, yeah, word on the street is that third baby is not even her husband's baby, that it could be possibly the trainer's baby or somebody else's baby. And then she referred to the trainer as Monique's little side piece, as if she's adding fuel to the fire. Instead of her saying the whole time that whenever Giselle brings up this affair, that these rumors that Charisse was spreading, she doesn't say anything in defense of Monique. Like, I don't know why Charisse was doing this. These are not true. These rumors are not true. Monique would never do this to her husband, blah, blah. It's never coming from that standpoint. It's always from word on the curb, word on the street is that she was having an affair with her trainer and that third baby ain't his. And I'm just like, you see, you're showing your true colors, Giselle. You really don't like Monique. And I feel bad for Monique, because it seems like Monique at some point, really had faith in these girls. That these girls are probably, her friends. But I don't know, because so first of all, cross out Charisse. I think all of these girls, except for Ashley, I think all of these girls are jealous of Monique, because Monique has it all. Monique has the looks. She's got the ex-NFL football player husband who's probably making a ton of money from endorsements and whatever jobs that he gets from being an ex-NFL player. And probably his retirement too is probably pretty healthy, and probably all the money that he made as an NFL player is probably, that money is long. And they live in a beautiful home, 3 beautiful children. She has her own little businesses going on. I mean, to me, she's drop dead gorgeous. So I feel like all of these women, and then Charisse is divorced and miserable, crying all the time. Her divorce was bitter. I don't know if they were able to settle anything in that divorce. I don't know if it's still going on. I don't know if it's been disposed of and final. I don't know. But the last time that she was on the show, she was miserable because she was losing her husband. And Giselle, another one. She's no longer married. Her husband was cheating on her left and right, and now she's considering going back with him. Her own children don't want them back together, and usually children of divorced parents want their parents to reconcile. So I have a feeling that all of these women are probably just really jealous of Monique, except for Ashley, because I think Ashley has enough confidence in herself to not really, really give a damn. But I really do feel that way, and I think that I wouldn't be surprised if Charisse and Giselle probably had a couple of conversations about Monique and how they were going to make this season play out. I don't know. But back to what I was saying. So Ashley and Candace are having a conversation at the bench, and they're talking. And I just wanted to say real quick about that I think it's nice that they are able to have a civil conversation. And I do feel like in my heart, the reason why, because it seemed like a lot of the anger a lot of the problems that they had last year was perpetuated by Candace. She was the one that was really going for the jugular. Ashley, not so much, because Ashley was just trying to keep her head above water, dealing with all the accusations and allegations and rumors and lawsuits and criminal charges that were attacking her husband left and right. So, and I think that Candace was not being a good friend, a good associate, a good co-worker, whatever you want to call it, by, constantly, talking about her husband. Because those confessionals that Candace would do whenever she would talk about Ashley and her husband were nasty, really, really nasty. And you don't know what's going on in people's marriages or in people's homes. You have no idea. She probably knows but doesn't care that her husband likes both men and women, that he's attracted to both. Maybe she knows this. Maybe she doesn't care. I don't know. It's none of our business. And the last thing that you need to do is to make snide, ugly, disgusting remarks about it. Be supportive, because Robin was supportive. I mean, Robin would say a little bit of things here and there, but it was really light and it was really meant to be funny, even though it wasn't a funny situation. But Robin was trying to be supportive. Giselle, I have to say, she wasn't as nasty as Candace. Now, Giselle had a lot to say about it, but it wasn't as nasty as Candace. Monique was trying to be supportive of it. And the allegations of Michael grabbing the cameraman's butt happened in Monique's home. And even Monique was trying to be supportive of Ashley because she was going through a difficult time. You know, you're not here when your friend is going through something like that. You're not here to judge them and to, knock them down even further. You're there to support. And if nothing else, say nothing at all. But Candace went out of her way. She broke her neck to make it as difficult, as hard as possible for Ashley. And I think that is coming from jealousy. I think that Monique is probably, not Monique, I think that Candace is probably a little bit of jealous of Ashley. I don't know about what, maybe because Ashley is a little bit more financially secure. I don't even know if if Candace's husband still has that restaurant. I have no idea. They've never been, Ashley and Michael, they've never depended on anyone. It seemed like they are pretty, self-sufficient. And maybe, I think Candace was probably jealous of Ashley. Now, Ashley would throw digs at Candace about, her depending on her mom paying for her house. Because when they had that dinner at Candace's house last season and Candace had kicked Ashley out, I think Ashley said something like, you can't kick me out of a house that you don't even own. Your mother can kick me out, but you can't kick me out. So, but I think that it was coming from a place of jealousy. And maybe with her having a baby and being pregnant, having a baby, I don't know. But I feel like with Candace, it just came from a whole nother place other than the situation with Michael. I think she used that situation with Michael as a tool to really beat Ashley down, because now she had a tool in her hand where before she didn't. Because you would think that if anything, Ashley and Candace would be the closest because they have the most in common. They're the youngest. They're both in the beauty pageant world. Two very intelligent women. They're both married to white men, and they're both business owners, whatever you want to call it, whatever it is, entrepreneurs. So you would think that they would have a lot in common, that they would be the closest, but they were the worst of enemies out of all the women on that show. So, but anyways, hopefully that they're able to resolve their issues. And I've gone on way too long. Thank you for joining me, and come back next week. Bye.